My name is Daniel Wynn, and by day I invest in sports cards, but by night I make videos about investing in sports cards. I am the great curator. Join me on my journey to break even in the hobby that we all love. Hello everyone, I'm the great curator and welcome to my channel. If this is the first time that you guys are visiting, thank you so much for stopping by. Just like I say in all my videos, the reason that I do this, the reason that I make these videos is for education. It's intended for people who are new to the hobby to kind of learn and understand what's going on, so hopefully they can avoid some of the common mistakes that we all have made. This is my fun, creative way to kind of give back to the community. In these videos, I share my opinion, my perspective, my insight on these topics that I'm interested in, and hopefully you guys can get some value out of that, okay? It's also a way for me to use this YouTube platform to kind of spread my message of positivity, the message that I talk about and share in all my videos about positivity. I think that if we're going to continue to grow our community, grow our hobby, we have to have a certain standard of how we conduct ourselves, a high standard of civility. So that's my message. If you find value in that, please help me support. Please support me by helping spread that message of positivity out to your community, guys. I really do appreciate that. Okay. Also, like, subscribe, share. That helps grow my channel, which helps me spread that message. So please, 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 please do that. That helps me out. Okay, let's talk about today's topic. Today's topic is how to negotiate with dealers, okay, at shows primarily. How to negotiate with dealers at shows primarily. I get this question all the time, right? From people who are new to the hobby or maybe not experienced. They're like, how do I negotiate with these guys? They make me feel uncomfortable. They intimidate me. They give me bad deals. They take advantage of me, all that stuff, right? How do I do this? Okay, so this is what this video is about. So let me first talk about who these dealers are, okay? Dealer is another word for vendor, seller, whatever you want to call it, but that's the term I'll use for this video. These are people who are set up at shows, card shows. These are people who rent the tables, put out their cards. They're the dealers, okay? These are people like that own card shops, things like that. Basically, anybody that sells you their card is a dealer, okay? If it's not done on a one-on-one basis, if it's done like in an open setting, they're a dealer. All right. So that's who I'm talking about for the purpose of this video. Before I get into the tips on how to deal with them, there's a couple things that I want you guys to understand. Okay. Number one is when you're dealing with these dealers, understand that number one, everything is negotiable. All right. Did they have a price on the card? Very, very rarely is that the set price that they won't accept anything else unless they're super stubborn about it, right? Or it's marked well below whatever the card is valued at. Most of the time, like 99% of the time, everything is up to negotiations. So you see a card on a table, you ask the price, that is not firm. You can negotiate with them, okay? I don't want people to say, oh, that's the price and get discouraged and walk away. Okay, everything is up to negotiations. Okay, guys, that's number one, the first thing that I want you to understand. Okay, so do not be shy about trying to negotiate with them. Okay, if you do it in the right way, and I'll talk about that later in the video. The second thing I want you to understand is do not be intimidated by these people. Do not be intimidated by these dealers, these vendors, okay? I don't care how old they are, how young they are, how big they are, how many cards they have, how expensive the cards are. It doesn't matter. Do not be intimidated by these people. These people are just like you and me. Okay, they are primarily collectors, investors, people trying to make money on this business. With the exception of very few individuals who are super big in the industry or super organized and established, where these are like real deal major corporations, major businesses. For the most part, 99% of the people that you meet at shows are just like you. So do not be intimidated by them, no matter how experienced or how scary they look. Do not be intimidated, guys. They are just like you. I want you to understand that. Do not be intimidated by these people, okay? Because that will hinder you in your negotiations. And if you take a position where you're intimidated by this other person, they will smell that. They will smell that fear, you know, in your voice, and they will take advantage of you with the deal. So don't give them that advantage when you're negotiating, okay? Do not be intimidated by anybody. Everybody, I say this in all my videos. Go back and watch the other videos where I talk about how to deal with vendors, buyer-seller etiquette, all that stuff. Everybody's equal, okay? with the exception of very few people, everybody in this hobby is equal, okay? So do not be intimidated by anybody, okay? They are the same as you, all right? Even if they say, well, I gotta make money on this deal, I gotta pay for overhead, expenses, whatever. I don't listen to that stuff, guys, okay? They know what they got into, all right? So don't let them use that as an excuse to make you feel bad, okay? Everybody's equal. They're no different than you. The only difference between you and them is they paid for access to a table at that show, which you could have easily done yourself, all right? So that's it, okay. Okay, so those are the main things that I want you guys to know. Oh, and the last thing is I want you guys to understand is that you have equal negotiating power to them also, all right? So if you're trying to buy a card from them and you feel like you're kind of backed up in a corner, do not give in, all right? You have equal negotiating power to them, and I'll go about that. I'll explain that in the tips later in this video, okay? But that's what I want you to understand, okay? 3 things. Number 1, everything's negotiable. Number 2, do not be intimidated by them. Number 3, because they're the same as you. Number 3, you have equal power to them, all right? Okay, so now that I've kind of established those guidelines, let me talk about some tips, okay? This is what you guys really want to hear from this video, right? Tips. Tip number 1, when you're negotiating with a dealer is when you approach them, I say this in all my videos, guys, be nice to them. Be respectful, be polite, be a gentleman investor, okay? If you approach somebody and you're a jerk to them, if you're rude or you come off as just like somebody who's not cool, they're not gonna deal with you, okay? They're not gonna wanna deal with you, they're gonna be firm on their price. But if you approach somebody and you're nice, polite, respectful, they will be open to talking to you. They will be open to having a conversation with you. And if they like you, they'll be open to being flexible on the terms of the deal. All right. So that's the first thing. Be nice, be polite, be respectful when you approach them. You do that by going up to them. You say, hello, how are you? How's it going? You ask them, about their booth. You compliment them, things like that. I talk about all this in my other video about buyer-seller etiquette. So go back and watch that video. But that's basically the first tip I can give you guys is be nice, be polite, be respectful. Okay. Next, when you identify the card that you want from them, you ask the value. All right. And this is a very important distinction. Okay, guys, I've talked about this in my other videos too, but you have to ask the value. And the reason I use the word value instead of cost or how much you're asking for, or, whatever, like some people will say, what are you asking for this? Or what's the best price on this? Or how much is this? Okay. When you do that, it comes off as very transactional, right? It's just like, it's like a yes or no answer. But if you ask them what they value it, you're putting a little psychological plant in their mind saying, okay, I want your opinion on this, all right? It's not like, don't tell me what the comp is, all right? Or don't tell me what, what the price is. Tell me what you value this card at. You're just basically letting them know that you want to know what their opinion on that card is, okay? And they won't register it right away. They'll just tell you what they have in mind for the price. But at least it keeps things open, and it's not like when people say, hey, what's your best price on this, okay? Because then you're just going to get a yes or no response, okay? But when you say this is what I value it, you're not necessarily saying how much you're asking for it, okay? Or will you take this? You're asking that person what they value that card at, okay? And then that will give you an idea where the negotiations will go, okay? So that's the second tip, okay? Once you get the value of the card, then if you know what the value of the card is yourself, if you've already done research and you're familiar with it, then you can begin negotiations. But if you're not familiar with it, then you can say, okay, do you mind if I look it up? Okay, do you mind if I do some research? Okay, and then just pull out your phone and check the eBay comps or whatever, just like everybody else does. But just let them know that you're interested by doing that, okay? It's always a good way to say, hey, let me check this card out, let me research this card, rather than just pulling out your phone and looking, because when you do that, you also kind of give the implication like, hey, this guy might be lying to me. I got to make sure, I got to double check his work, right? But if you pull it out, it's just a nice way to kind of to keep the conversation going. And every time they will say, of course, go ahead, check it out, right? Okay. Then once you determine the value of the card in your mind, okay, versus the value of the card that the seller is putting on it, then you can ask them if they're open to offers. Okay. If he's valuing it exactly what you want, then you can make an offer, but usually it will probably be higher, or usually you want to get a deal. So ask them if they're open to offers. Okay, this is very important. Don't just say, hey, will you take 50% of whatever it costs, or will you take a discount on this, or whatever, right? Don't be rude, guys. You have to keep the conversation going. So you ask them, hey, are you flexible on this, or are you open to taking offers? And most of the time they will say yes, guys. Most of the time they will say yes. And what you're doing is you're establishing a pattern of asking them, so that you're showing respect. You're showing respect to them. Okay. You ask them what the value was. You ask them if they're open to an offer on this. Okay. And you're getting them to say to give you positive responses, right? Rather than saying, what's your best price on this? And then that can turn somebody off, or will you take this price for it? That could turn somebody off. You're getting them to engage you in conversation where they're giving positive answers and they're working with you. Okay. Then let's just say they say yes, okay? Then you can engage them in conversations from there on, and you can see where the negotiation goes. So for example, let's just say you have, you know what? I'll pull this card out. I have this card. I'll show you guys. I was gonna post this to my Instagram, but I have this card, this Tyson PMG. I'm very proud of this. I just got this like today. Anyways, let's just say that, you know, this is my card I'm selling, or this is the card that I want to buy, and they say they want like $2,000 for it, right? That's what they value this card at, $2,000. I double check my work. I double check on my phone, and this card is probably comping around $1,500 to $2,000, right? Then I ask them, hey, are you open to offers on this? And they say yes. And then that's when you engage them in conversations. And then you just say, hey, would you take, $1,800 for it? Or $1,700 or $1,600 or something like that. Most likely they'll probably push back on that a little bit, and they'll say, I'm kind of want to be at my number, or I'm firm, or that's too low or something. But you just engage them in conversations, okay? You just keep the conversation going, guys. The longer the conversation will go, the more likely the dealer is going to be willing to work with you in that, okay? And the conversation can go in many different ways. Maybe you do like a cash trade option, which is I cover in another one of my videos. Maybe you offer to buy another card and ask for a bulk discount. Guys, you never know where the conversation can go, so that's why you just have to keep it going, so you can kind of play it by ear. But during the whole conversation, just remember, be respectful, be polite, be nice. It helps to ask questions. If you don't agree with the value, ask them, ask them how they value it. Ask them what their cost basis is on the card, okay? I talk about that in another one of my videos, identifying a card's cost basis to help in negotiations. Just keep the conversation going is what I'm trying to tell you guys, okay? The longer the conversation goes, the more likelihood that you're gonna be able to work a deal, all right? And then the last tip I'll tell you guys is, if the conversation is going in circles, or it's going nowhere, or if they're very firm, or even if the vendor or the seller is really rude to you, or just not flexible at all, then don't be afraid to walk away from the negotiations, okay? Don't be afraid to walk away, okay? You can circle back later on. If you were polite, then you can circle back to the conversation later on after you take a lap around the room or whatever, but don't be afraid to walk away, guys. One thing I've learned about cards is that even if a card is super rare, you'll find a replacement for it, okay? You'll find something else that you can buy that's equal value, that you love. Or most of the time, cards, there's other people that have these same cards. So don't be afraid to walk away if the deal doesn't work for you, okay? You don't want to be obligated to buy anything. You don't want to be forced into anything, okay? Don't let these dealers intimidate you. If the deal doesn't work for you, walk away. At least you tried, okay, guys? So yeah, those are all my tips. Let me just quickly go over that again, okay? Number one is, when you approach the person, be nice, be respectful, be polite, okay? Number two, ask them what the value of the card is, okay? Don't ask them what their best offer is. I hate it when people say, what's your best price on this? My price is whatever I put it on, okay? If you want to make an offer, you can do it. But if you want to be nice about it, ask them what the value of the card is, okay? Then make sure you do your research, and then ask them if they're open to offers, all right? Or they're flexible on the price. And if they are, engage them in conversations, okay? Ask a lot of questions. See what the value is, see if they're open to other options such as a cash trade deal, but just keep the conversation going. And if it's going in a positive direction, then try to make a deal. If it's going in a backwards negative direction, then don't be afraid to walk away, guys. Okay? So those are my tips for you guys on how to deal with how to negotiate deals with dealers or vendors. Takeaway, the most important takeaway, guys, is I just want you to understand that everybody's equal in this hobby, all right? Do not be intimidated by these people just because they're on the other side of the table. They don't necessarily have a huge advantage over you during this negotiation process. Okay, do not be intimidated. They are the same as you. You have equal power to them because you can walk away. Okay, remember what I talked about in one of my videos when I talk about valuing cards, guys. The seller determines the price of the card, but the buyer determines the value, and you guys have to meet in the middle somewhere. Okay, guys? All right, so hopefully you guys get some value out of that. Those are all my tips today. If you have any questions or anything like that, DM me on Instagram at The Great Curator, or leave some comments below. I'll try to respond to all the messages I receive. I'll try to help you guys out as much as I can. If you got value from this video, please like, subscribe, share the video. If you don't want to do any of those things because you don't believe in it or whatever, you don't want to support me, at least watch the other videos, guys. I have a lot of good content out here I'm putting out for you guys. It's designed to help you, okay? And I think there is value in them, so please watch the other videos. If you don't want to support me at all, that's fine. I put all this content out there for free for you guys so that it helps you, it benefits you, because that's what really makes me happy when I get that type of feedback, guys. Okay? All right, that's it. I will see you guys in the next video. Okay? See ya.